I'm Alex West, and I'm making this video because I promised myself the last time that I ran a startup that this time I'd blog it. Part of that's born from hiring a marketing consultant in our second or third year. She's like, "Where's all your content?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "The main job of a CEO is to be the public face of the company, and I haven't done that." She's like, "You can make content from now on, but you're never going to make up for what you didn't make in the past." Her advice was, I think, pretty good. Later in the course of the business, we had experiences where customers didn't believe that we were a real business because they'd seen our marketing, but they'd never heard of us before that. Potential partners or investors had a harder time getting to know or understand us, and intros were colder because I hadn't done this groundwork. That's why I'm doing it this time around. It seemed like the right way to go. I'll tell you about what I'm working on after I tell you a bit about, like, who is this guy? Three things that you should know about me is I'm a lifelong gamer. My mother loved games and filled our house with games, and we play games as kids after dinner. I got into computer games, and that's really how I got into computers when I was 6. Dad bought us an Apple TV, and I learned how to program in Basic so that I could write choose your own adventure games. And I got to play all the old classics like Wizardry and Ultima and other really pretty obscure things. The third thing that I really love is business. My father's president of our family's mid-sized manufacturing business. So he was traveling around the country, going around the world, dealing with customers and suppliers, dragging along. And it was kind of like an ongoing business education. He was like, "You'll never need an MBA. Just listen to me and I'll teach you everything you need to know about business." And so those have grown to be passions for me as an adult. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've run 6 startups of them. Tiny, like I said, a small team. We wanted to make an IP-based game. We wrote a proposal for the owner of the IP. Apparently our timing was correct. They said that they had 2 other proposals at the same time. Our proposal didn't win. We dissolved. That was it. My most recent startup was a game studio. I ran it for 4 years. We grew from 3 founders to 15 full-time employees. We raised $3.5 million. We didn't end up delivering our product. We had wanted to make something innovative, which came with a lot of design risk. And we ultimately weren't able to come up with a design that really wowed us. So we shut down. Part of me still wants to finish that product. Maybe sometime I'll do a whole post-mortem video about it. After taking a few months off, recovering from all the exhaustion that comes with running a startup for 4 years, I was trying to figure out what the next thing was. I was like, maybe I will start another game studio and we can pick up where something left off, but maybe start with iterating and finding the game fit before expanding and building out the whole world book and branding and so forth. I reached out to Mark Herberholz, who I knew from Magic the Gathering. I mentioned I like games. I was a professional Magic the Gathering player for 4 years. Mark was one of the best players in the world, actually the best player in the world for a year or two period. So I was like, "Mark, you founded a business yourself. You take a bunch of products from 0 to 1. I think you'd be a great co-founder. I've never worked with you directly on building games, but everyone I've talked to thinks that you're really great, specifically at the part of creating a game from nothing. So what do you think?" And Mark was like, "Well, if you have all the money lined up, I would do this. But in general, my take on games is that they're very competitive as a business. And also you generally get lower returns than if you were in another field. So he's like, I'd really rather do something else." I was like, okay, that actually jives with my life experience of doing a bunch of game startups and having them be pretty challenging. What would you do? And Mark said, well, I had another friend who wanted to start a game business, asked me to validate it. And he was like, I thought it'd be efficient. I made a GPT that I customized with all of my experiences as a product person to help my friend. And that's something I like to want to try it. But he's like, that's the startup I do. easily come up with other things. You can sell me on something else. But yeah, that's it. I walked away from that conversation and was thinking through a bunch of different startup options. Yeah, I listed 5 or 6 ideas that I was considering. As I worked through all of them, I started using Mark's tool to evaluate them. And I thought this tool was awesome. It did a bunch of research and analysis and red teaming that I think could have taken me hours or days to do, and I was doing it in minutes. And it was making points that I wouldn't have thought of by myself. I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. So then I showed it to my girlfriend and I was like, hey, I've been talking about doing this pet training app. Why don't you try using this tool to see if it helps you? And we've been dating for almost a year and she'd been talking about this business idea for a while. And we've been having trouble having conversations about it because I think she didn't really know where to start. And suddenly our conversations really transformed. She was asking detailed tactical questions and talking about who to recruit and when and crafting business strategies. And I was like, all right, this is so there's a pitch day coming up at AI2, which is part of the Allen Institute. It's focused on AI startups. It's in Seattle. They have a cool AI house that's on the waterfront downtown. And I was like, all right, I'll go to this pitch day. And well, I won't be able to pitch, but if they invite me to pitch, I'll pitch Mark's idea. Like, this seems good to me. At the same time, I was like, hey, Mark, having this on your LinkedIn profile is good, but maybe promote it some and see how people in your network like it. So Mark did that. And Mark's experience was the tool went from 10 conversations to 60 conversations in a week. He got some excited messages from contact who's like, we're going to use this for a GTM campaign unaltered. I think this is sweet. And we'll probably blog about using this tool. When I was at one of the AI Habits events, I mentioned the tool to a few people, not because I was really interested in pushing it. It just seemed like there are a lot of new founders who would also benefit from it. One of them also had a great experience where she was like, the only problem with this tool is that it now feels like the tool is running the company instead of me. And she was big tongue in cheek, like she liked the advice. And Mark also independently got a message from her where she was like, this thing's awesome, blah, blah, blah. That was good traction. So Mark and I started feeling like this was a good thing to focus our efforts on. Mark had a person that he'd worked with before who we thought would make a good full co-founder. We brought him in. We realized we needed to get a landing page up. So I talked to a friend who's currently out of work and has a lot of experience with front-end development at Google. We agreed to give a 0.25% in our company for 80 hours of development work prorated hourly. He wanted to hear about the business. I walked him through it. He had a lot of good, challenging questions because I'd done all the validation, mapping through it with the tool. I had great answers for everything that he asked. So he got on board. Now it applies to a couple incubators like A16Z and YC. And also at the end of the pitch day at AI2, I talked to Ethan Zhang, who's the director there. And I was like, hey, it seems to me like your life would be easier if there was a good AI tool for helping out new startups. And she was like, yeah, I would love a tool like that. She's like, I'd be a pretty critical customer, but if it's good, I would love that. You should really talk to Muha, who also works with incubating startups at AI2. He's more tactically focused and he's talking about doing something like this. So I'll talk to him at the pitch day and seem generally positive. We have an appointment to talk by email where I kind of want to outline our strategy and then get his thoughts how to improve products. My hope is that by having a collaborative conversation where we try and understand the needs of an incubator like AI2, we can help make the product better for both founders who want to apply to an incubator, but also founders who are solo founders operating independently who want to bootstrap. The same advice is probably really useful. Yeah, that's where we're at. My intention is to make a post like this every week If people have questions about what we're doing or why, I'd love to address them. People have suggestions about how to do things smarter. Always looking to learn from other people's experiences. That's about I have to learn the hard way myself. And so to make it social and fun, I feel like my last startup, we were very isolated, and I enjoyed the few times I got out to events like GDC or NFTCL or a more social engaged experience while building this time. Curious, you want to see how this thing goes, hit the subscribe button, wherever it is, and catch you again next week. Thanks for joining.